everyone. We are back with some post-match reaction because it was the Merseyside Derby today, one of the top derbies, rivalries in the world. Liverpool hosting Everton this time around. Mark Ogden is with me as well as Janusz Michallik. Oggy is there at Anfield, fresh off a 2-0 win for Liverpool that takes him to the top of the Premier League table for now. Of course, Arsenal and Chelsea have yet to play later on today. But Oggy, 2-0, all about Mo Salah in this one. We do call this the dirtiest game in football because there's always plenty cards in it. We did see a sending off with Ashley Young. We'll get to that and the refereeing decisions in a bit. But first of all, 2-0 to Liverpool, all Mo Salah. But it was a win that Liverpool really had to work for this time.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Everton got reduced to 10 men before half-time, he felt it was going to be one of those days where Liverpool could score 3, 4 or 5. But Everton, defended doggedly. They really stuck in. But, they went to 5 at the back at the start of the second half. But you just knew as soon as Liverpool scored, and they would score because they had so much possession, so much of the game, that would be it. Everton had no answer to it. And, Everton are a very limited team with 11 players on the pitch. When it's 10, it's, they're not going to start creating things. So Liverpool had to really work at it today. And you have to say that, this season they haven't been outstanding really at all. At the top of the league, albeit until later on Saturday, I guess. But the top of the league, and at this stage of the season, you just got to win, get the points, bank them up, and hope that by the end of the season that you can build on that start. So I don't think Jurgen Klopp will be complaining. Liverpool are maybe ahead of where they thought they'd be, considering they had to rebuild the midfield in the summer. So there's not really any negatives from this. You could maybe say that they should have created more chances and put Everton away sooner, but it's a tough game, the derby. Any derby game is a tough game, and they've got the result, they've got the win, move on to the next game, and no complaints.
Janusz, what do you think? Do you agree with Oggy in the sense that, of course, we know that Jurgen Klopp has had to rebuild this team and we're kind of expecting the big dominating performances we once saw from Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. But as you said, it is a rebuilding process. It wasn't the prettiest or biggest of wins as you would expect, given the level of both sides. But 3 points is what matters, right?
Yeah, and there could be a little bit more to that because, it was a lack and flow. That's obvious. I always say that after international breaks, let's not forget, 2 weeks' time and they're going to be gone again, or 3 weeks, not even, right? So, that's when everything settles. It's hard to get it. There's always going to be a game or a team that throws my theory out. But for the most part, I think it's very, very hard in a game like this. But yeah, with all the attention on Arsenal here, it just got me thinking, with all the attention on Arsenal being obviously pushing Manchester City for the title, I actually think that it's going to be Liverpool. I really do. If everything goes their way, because at the very least, they know what it takes. And we all know that it's going to be a tight squeeze, wasn't it? That one point in the past. And you nearly have to be perfect. And Liverpool have not been perfect at all, which is what Mark said. And it's true. But just imagine if they get themselves going. I think they have the know-how, the knowledge, the experience. And in terms of squad, I look at them in Arsenal and, I don't know if I'm going to say they're much, much better, but slightly maybe. So at the end of the day, you take the 3 points because let's face it. This game is not a rivalry. We talk about it's a derby. That's what it is. And not just because of statistics. It's a big club against a club that is just happy not to be relegated, right? If you look at the last 3 or 4 years, maybe a win here or there for Everton, okay. But Mark, I don't know. I look at Sean Dyche, and I like him as a person. It makes me laugh. Maybe that's what it is. I liked him at Burnley more than I like him here, I suppose. Although you got to give him time. But I take his coaching license away for those substitutions at halftime. I really would. Okay, you're going down to 10 men, so logically you say, you got to make changes, but I just think that when you're Everton and you go into Anfield or in general, you know that Liverpool are going to score. You just know they're going to score. And then what then? So taking both wingers out, I just don't get it. At that stage, you say to yourself, yeah, the usual is going to come eventually, which it did. And so I really don't understand the idea with those two substitutions. I'm not saying they were going to make a difference, but I would have kept at least one of them because you're going to have to do it on the break somehow. So I didn't get that at all.
Oggy, what do you think about Sean Dyche's substitutions then? Because I know you do follow Everton quite closely as well.
No, I agree with that in the sense that it turned it into a kind of defense versus attack training drill. And Liverpool have got Salah, they got Szoboszlai, they got Jota, they had Nunes to come on. They've got so much attacking talent that you just can't play for 45 minutes just backing up against your goal. At Anfield, in front of the Kop, there's just no way. And you know that, the amount of times that penalties are given at this ground and many of the big grounds, that it was going to happen. Liverpool had a claim for a penalty just before the actual penalty they were given. So it was just a reckless tactic by Dice. But in his defence, he's got such a limited squad, and that isn't his fault because he inherited the squad last season when he came in about February time. They didn't really spend any money this summer to bring anybody in. It's an awful squad, Everton. I mean, they really are probably looking at there's 3 worse teams than them in the Premier League this season, but they are an awful squad. Nothing like the club that, Janusz is right. Everton are a big club. I think only Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man United have won more league titles than Everton. And the younger fans might not believe that, but Everton used to be a big club. But now it's probably the most one-sided derby in world football. I mean, even Espanyol get results against Barcelona more than Everton get against Liverpool. So it is just it's an annual 3 points for Liverpool at Anfield. So, and to play that way, and to play with any kind of pace on the counter-attack, you're just inviting Liverpool on. And like Janusz said, you just knew at some point Liverpool would score, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and not only that, but on top of that, as you've mentioned, I was just talking about Liverpool and the title aspirations in my view. But I mean, they weren't great, right? I mean, first shot on target, I don't know, 60th minute or they only had 1 shot on target up until 60th minute. And let's be honest. I mean, if you look at that midfield, as good as it is in terms of engine room, and it's been tremendous in that aspect. I mean, there was nothing coming out of there in terms of creativity, zero, until Harvey Elliott kind of came in a little bit. But, the 3 that started the game did their jobs in terms of grinding and winning the ball back. Liverpool looked great on the counterattack, but the sort of, the onslaught that we expected didn't come in the first 15, 20, 25 minutes. So that's why I just think with Everton, I think there was that opportunity, the lack of flow, the international break, the early game, whatever you want to put that to. I think for Everton, it's one of those games where you say to yourself, the outcome most likely is going to be the same. Why not try it? And I think today, Liverpool weren't any special, that's for sure.
But I got the job done. Augie, one thing that we definitely love doing here is talking about refereeing decisions or decisions that weren't. Let's talk about that non-sending off for Konate. And of course, we also know that Ashley Young was indeed sent off, had a few choice words for Jurgen Klopp there. You can tell he definitely played for Manchester United. But again, the one about Konate, Liverpool a bit lucky to not see him sent off there.
Well, yeah, but if you're asking me to kind of get into the head of a referee, I mean, where do you start? I mean, I was at the I was at the Tottenham Liverpool game 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when Jota was sent off for two kind of maybe half fouls sent off. The week later, I'm at Arsenal v City, and Kovacic stays on for 2 ridiculously bad challenges. So you've got Konate today who doesn't get sent off, but then you get Ashley Young who gets sent off for a half foul and a foul. I mean, not every foul is a booking, but I'm just lost now. I can't kind of get my head around what is a foul and what is not, because Craig Pawson's an experienced referee. He should really have looked at the Ashley Young situation and thought, right, okay, the first yellow card was very, very soft. The second one was a silly tackle, but you've got to think with the bigger picture. Unless we are in the situation now where every foul becomes a yellow card, if that's the case, then Konate should get sent off. But I don't know where you start. There's no consistency, and there hasn't been for a long time. But VAR has actually made it worse. But who knows? I mean, Klopp, at least he took him off straight away when he knew that he could have been. But look, don't ask me to get into referees' heads. I've got no idea.
Janusz, what about you? Can you try and make some sense of it? Or
no, I can't. Just keep. People say that the referees have to be proactive, right? Because if you give him a finger, they'll take your arm. I don't believe in that. If I had to do it because the lack of consistency, and Mark is right, I wouldn't whistle just about anything. I mean, it would have to be something when there's zero doubt that you have to do it. I have expected that second yellow card to come to Konate. I don't believe it was. I mean, he was barely touched there. He was on a little bit of a break. I think there was one Liverpool player left. So, I mean, big ass from halfway line, for that to be any sort of chance. I don't think it was. But to even things out, I suppose, if he gave it, we'd have a conversation here. But I'm with you. I don't understand it anymore. The handball today was a definition of making your body bigger. I still don't believe in it, really. I mean, there's nothing intentional about it. We know that that's not part of the laws of the game anymore. But it was clearly, a penalty. Yet, if I look at my timeline, half the people don't believe it was. So I don't really know what to make of it. I just go with a gut feeling, and the way the laws of the games are made, I do believe it was a clear-cut penalty. I wouldn't have given it the second yellow to Konate. But just as Mark said, I don't think, the first yellow card to Ashley Young, that's not a yellow card. But then again, I mean, he kicked the ball away after a whistle, so that could have been. We can go on and on and on and on. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I still think Liverpool would have found a way to win that game. That's the bottom of it.
Augie, then, of course, Liverpool starting their weekend on a perfect start with this Merseyside Derby win. Someone who was just brilliant for them, as always, is Mo Salah, who's been racking up the goals. He's got 7 now in the Premier League, just 1 behind Erling Haaland. We'll see if Haaland decides to break his drought, at least in the Premier League by his standards today. But just thoughts on Mo Salah and how much of a legend at Liverpool he literally is there now, because the stats show it, right?
Oh no, look, yeah, he's now scored more goals at Anfield than Steven Gerrard and Kenny Dalglish. 2 absolute Liverpool legends, maybe the 2 biggest legends in Liverpool's history. So he's gone past them. And today we saw why Liverpool didn't sell him in the summer when Saudi Arabia came calling it late in the window. They didn't take that ridiculous bid, and that bid would have given Jurgen Klopp the funds to sign maybe 3 superstar players to replace him, and maybe make Liverpool a better team. Who knows? But they kept him for days like this when you need somebody to make the difference. And Salah's now had 14 goal involvements this season, goals and assists. And he is the guy that always delivers. And, a lot of players, they don't deliver in the big games. Mo Salah delivers in the big games. And that's what Liverpool kept him for. And I think, you talk about Erling Haaland. And I think, for me, Erling Haaland's obviously is a superstar of the Premier League. But Mo Salah's up there with him because he's done it over the years. He's done it consistently now for 6-7 years for Liverpool. And he's done it again. And I think if he stays fit, as Janusz said earlier, Liverpool, for me, are Man City's closest rivals because they've been there, they've done it. They've got a great goalkeeper, maybe the best in the league. They've got Virgil van Dijk, they've got Mo Salah. They've got more experience and more proven experience than Arsenal. But Salah's the key. If Salah's fit, then we've got a chance in any game.
And just to end this, I mean, he didn't even play well, right? I mean, we're looking at it a little bit, at least it feels to me that way, different Mo Salah. One that kind of is recognizing that maybe he's not capable of doing the things that he's done before. He seems to me less selfish. I don't know if that's a great thing to say about striker, but I think there's times, Mark, that we looked at him in the past and we said, my goodness, remember, when Liverpool were at their best. So I think this is actually good for Liverpool because I expect actually a lot more from Mo Salah. He was on the ball today. I don't think he was anywhere near his best, but yet, what is it now? 7 goals, 4 assists in 9 games in the Premier League. Think about it. Once they get going, and I do believe there's a lot more to come from Liverpool. I think that midfield is going to bet itself, and I think you're going to figure out eventually. Luis Diaz is going to find his flow. I think that with Nunes either off the bench or not. Jota today, there were 3 or 4 times where I thought he was absolutely excellent. We didn't see that throughout the game, but I think the way he took players on in the penalty area in tight spaces, I expect a lot more from that. And by the way, I'm starting to see Van Dijk at his, I dare say, absolute best. He's slowly but surely getting there, and that's important because I wasn't sure if he's going to get back to the Van Dijk before his injury.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thanks as always to Mark Ogden and Janusz Michallik. As you saw, this Liverpool team, Jurgen Klopp says, has re-energized him, has given him new energy, and they've started the weekend off perfect. And it's over to City now to see what they can do.